I thought it might be helpful to put together the list of the top things that I do that save me over 30 hours a week. Truly, it's probably more than that, but let's just say for the sake of things that over 30 hours a week, and it's truly changed my life. So if you would like to learn how I took back my time, took back control over my days, then let's go ahead and get into things. I thought what might be helpful is to break these strategies down into categories. We have planning, tools and processes, energy and health, people and communication, and then I actually made email separate, and I'll explain why I did that at the end. So let's start off with planning, because ultimately planning is the thing that sort of sets all of these other things up for success. So I hired a business coach. I filmed a video all about this. I still haven't released it yet because I'm kind of on the fence. And here I go on a tangent again. But let's just say it wasn't the experience that I was hoping for it to be. But there was one really valuable takeaway that I got from my time with this business coach, and that was the practice of a self-coaching form. And on this form, I have my 1-year goals, and then I have my quarterly goals, and then I have a series of questions that I reflect on every single week. If there are specific metrics that I'm wanting to also track, then I'll keep those there as well. Now, this is great for a few reasons. One is it keeps me really in tune and aligned with my goals, both the big year goals and the quarterly goals, but it's also giving me an opportunity to reflect on every single week to see what went well, what didn't, what I want to work on next, what I need to do to make sure that I'm on track to meet the objectives that I am. And it's just a really great way for me to make sure that I'm continuing to steer the ship in the direction that it needs to go, because it's so easy to get slowly veered off course, and then to course correct feels almost impossible. But if you're constantly making sure that you are going in the line that you want to go, then it doesn't take that same amount of effort. So the self-coaching form, I think this actually might be something that a whole video would be helpful for. So if you would like to see that, either give this video a thumbs up or let me know, and I will film a more in-depth video about what that process looks like and how I integrate it into my workflow. Then I have my top 3. Now, this is a daily practice where I identify what are the 3 things that I absolutely must get done for the day. It's non-negotiable. This has to happen. I won't wrap up my day until I get these done. And this requires that I be very honest about what I reasonably can do in a day, and also helps so that no matter what, by the time I wrap up the day, I feel accomplished because I know I got the important things taken care of. It's very easy to fill your day feeling like you're busy and like you're doing a lot, but then like you're never actually making progress on the things that matters. And the top 3 for me is a really just honed in way of making sure that I understand also what is the most important thing. If I only have time to do 3 things, what do they need to be? And even just having that hierarchical kind of thinking about what's more and less important is just massive. I also plan my day the day before, or if it's on Friday, then I'll plan my Monday before I wrap up for the day. That's a way for me to reflect more on a day-to-day stance, to be clear about what am I needing to focus on, to make sure that I know my schedule. And that just allows me to be able to wake up to know exactly what I need to do when it's time to sit at the computer, and to feel like I'm also putting a bookmark to the end of the day. So I know this is where I left things. I know exactly where I'm picking up tomorrow, and I don't have to waste a lot of time in the morning figuring out what I need to do, or then getting sucked into communication with the team or emails or things that then suddenly you realize that it's noon and you haven't done any of the top 3. And trust me, I've been there a lot. I'm speaking from experience, but this really helps protect against that. Batching content and tasks has also been massive for me, especially understanding what my different energy levels are, but also understanding that I do have a lot of different types of responsibilities in my life. So for example, right now, this is the third video that I'm filming for YouTube, and I also recorded a podcast today. So I like to have content creation days where I know that those are the days that I'm going to make sure to not just wear my athleisure and a messy bun, but I'm going to make myself look and feel a little bit more camera ready. I know that I really need to keep my schedule clear of all other distractions because it takes a lot of mental effort to be doing this. And that also I know that once I'm done, I'm not going to put a lot of other responsibilities on the back end where I'm already depleted and stressed. And I know, okay, I did the important things and now I can either do some little menial tasks or I can just wrap up the day knowing that it was a day worth doing. This is also helpful because there's just different energy to things. So I'll also have a meeting day where those are where I'll concentrate different kinds of meetings. I'll have admin hours where I know that there's just certain types of administrative tasks that I can't really delegate to other people. And I'll just do those during that time. And then it's not as big of a deal. Working ahead is also something that I never did. I've always been a procrastinator my whole life. But what I've realized, especially when it comes to those big goal, bold idea, really aggressive strategy things, is that they require a lot of creativity, a lot of deep thought, and a lot of mental effort that when you add in a time constraint to it, it puts so much stress and pressure that it's hard to actually perform at the level that you need to. So for me, batching content doesn't just help me kind of combine like things together and be in that mindset, but it then also gives me the runway that I know I'm filming only every 2 or 3 weeks. So I've got a lot of time that I can set aside to plan future videos, to edit and refine and make sure that it's all great without feeling like I have someone breathing down my neck. I guess that someone would be me since I'm my own boss, but someone breathing down my neck saying, okay, where's this video? So those are the planning things. If you don't do anything else in the video, I think these can have a massive impact on really helping make every single day that much more impactful and that much more joyful. However, there's a lot of other things, good things to get to. But I would love it if you would drop your favorite time-saving trick below, because I'm sure that you have things that you do that I don't. I'd love to learn from you. I'd love it if we could all share what our favorite tricks are, because even little tiny adjustments can make a huge difference on how we live our days. So the next chunky bit is tools and processes. So some of these are going to be a little bit kind of bigger picture, and then others will be more precise. So building a tool stack that works together is so vitally important. If you are selecting a project management tool that does not integrate in with your other tools, for example, or a website platform that can't communicate with your accounting system or whatever, you're going to be just creating so much extra stress. Ideally, you want to be finding tools that have a built-in native integration. But if they don't have that, then you can use my next favorite trick, time-saving trick, which is Zapier. There's also a company called Make. For me, Make is so confusing. Zapier is really straightforward, but that allows tools that don't have that built-in integration to still be able to communicate with each other. Now, whether you are responsible for deciding the tools to use or somebody else on your team is, this is a really important thing to be keeping in mind, because if you choose wrong and then you build a tool stack around these tools, and then now it's going to create so much inertia and effort to change those if you need to, because they aren't functioning well. And it's just something to be very mindful of. So for me, choosing some of those integral tools like ClickUp, like Shopify, like using the Gmail G Suite, all of those allow me to have so much more flexibility with the other tools that I may add on or change out, because I know that they play nice with a lot of other tools and they're really going to help me build out the tool stack that I need to create a company that can run smoothly and seamlessly and have all of these different automations in place. So Zapier connects those tools so they communicate together. It's fantastic. I personally house everything in Google Drive. You don't have to. You can use a tool like Notion. Even ClickUp now is adding in a wiki function to create that database. But wherever it is, you need a database that is searchable, that you have a good naming structure for, and that houses everything. So that it's not just you that can find it, but that anybody in your team can find what they need. It's a massive time saver, but it also really plays into some of these next steps that we're going to talk about. So I love ClickUp as a project management tool. If you want to know why I love it, I have a video about that I'll link below. But what you should be doing with your project management tool is also house all of the different processes that are within that tool so that when somebody is assigned a specific type of task, they can see right there how to do that task. So it's detailed out. There's supporting documents if need be. I also like to screen record anything that might have clicking components of how to use a particular tool. But having that all housed right there is going to save everybody time asking questions. They know exactly how to do it. They know how to find it. And that leads me to the next step, which is documenting everything. So writing out the steps, recording it. Anytime you're doing something for the first time, start to document that out because ideally this might be something that you want to eventually delegate out. And so if you have that process already written, when it's ready to delegate, it's seamless. If not, then that's where it starts to be really stressful to be adding new people. And then suddenly you're trying to hire and recruit and train, and all of it is just a lot more that falls on your plate. So if you have all of that documented, then it becomes very seamless. But simultaneously with that, I think we're up to now number 11, which is make keeping processes updated a part of company culture so that every time something changes, people are thinking, okay, this needs to be updated here, here, and here. And then it's no longer your responsibility and nobody is also going to get to the point where they've just been doing the same role for 3 years and they've never updated the document, and then they hire someone in to fill that role, and suddenly you realize that all of the processes are grossly out of date. Now you know that everything is constantly up to date so that whether somebody is sick, they're on vacation, they leave unexpectedly, you have it all built out so that it's not reliant on one person. But in order to do that, that's really something that you have to empower your entire team to do. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. I'm talking kind of fast. I realize I have a lot of tricks to get to, but it's probably not ideal to just speed through them. So I'm just going to take a pause, take a breath. When we talk about saving time, sometimes we think that we just need to go faster or get more done, but I actually think that that's the wrong approach to take. So what I'm always thinking about is, how can I eliminate error, and does a human need to do this? Sometimes, yes, a human does need to do it, but sometimes a computer is going to be more efficient and also eliminate error. And so I do this both when I'm thinking about a new tool to add or a new process that needs creating, but also in an automation to add, but also in thinking about something went wrong, and then thinking about where might we be able to streamline and automate and systemize this. So a lot of this is going to really be amplified when you are able to shift your mindset to always be looking at, is there a better way to do things? Is there a faster way to do things? Is there a less error-prone way of doing things? Can be hugely impactful. So with that, let's now transition over to the energy and health section. So I have my go-to healthy snacks and meals. So the things that when I'm having a really busy day, I can just go and grab out of the kitchen and munch on, or if I need to run out the door, then I can grab a snack with me. Things that are going to energize me, things that are going to help me feel good, things that are going to give my body the nutrients that it needs. All of that is so important. I definitely wore myself down in the early days of the business. I wasn't eating enough and I wasn't eating the right kinds of foods. And I find that when I have a really nourishing diet, that I am able to show up to my business in a really much more positive way. But I also needed to have a set kind of always in the refrigerator and pantry list of items that are there so that I am minimizing that decision fatigue of thinking, I'm hungry, what can I eat? So I have my go-to foods. I can create a video about my favorite go-to foods that help me operate at peak energy, but we're all different and we all thrive on different kinds of diets. But just having those go-to things, that in itself is really the automation that just is a very big game changer for me. Also, I've kind of Steve Jobs'd it in the last couple of years, and I've taken on a mostly black uniform. Occasionally, I'll pepper things in with white or red, but really sticking to all black, as you may or may not have noticed with virtually all of my videos, has really saved me so much time in being able to get dressed for meetings or to go to different events and not having to be concerned about putting together an outfit. So really saving that stress and that mental load and energy that I could be using for my business or for goals or for other things in my life and not really making that a high priority has really been awesome for me. Walk or step away when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm having heightened emotions, or I'm drained. So if I get an email that really upsets me, if I'm just feeling like I'm staring at the computer and I'm not really doing much, those are indications to me that I need to take a step back. Those both help me avoid making decisions that I'm not going to be happy with, but they also give me an opportunity to refresh, to center myself, and then to be able to come back more vital and with more focus and energy. So whether that's doing a little bit of stretching, that's taking the dog out, that's going and having a bite to eat, just sitting there quietly for a few moments, but doing something to sort of bring me back into myself and into my body so that I can then approach things with a clear mind and a clear head and being very deliberate with my decision making. Taking calls on walks is one of the best double duty things that I do. I love walking. I try to walk at least 5 miles a day. And I really love walking and not having anything to do with work, but it's also great if I have a work phone call to use that as an opportunity to get some time outside. It's good for your eyeballs to not be staring at a screen. It's energizing, and it's just a nice, pleasant way to be able to get some movement in while you're also taking important calls. So that for me doesn't always work. If I need to be on video, then obviously it's less ideal. But when I can combine those two, it just makes the whole experience so much better. Also, this is another more mindset kind of thing, but I think still very important and really a trick in and of itself, which is don't be afraid to give up or change course or abandoning what's not working. Essentially, do not be deceived by the sunk cost fallacy, the idea that you've already invested so much in this thing, so you might as well see it through to the end. If you realize that you're going in the wrong direction, or that this particular initiative is futile, or that you're just not into this goal in the same way that you were, it's better to abandon it and move on to the next thing than to continue trying to push forward something that your heart and your head isn't in it and you don't really have a lot of faith in anyway. I think as organizations and as individuals, it's so easy to waste so much time on things that are just not where we want to go anymore. And whether it's the inertia that's just carrying us forward, or because we feel like we've already invested so much, do not be afraid to course correct or abandon entirely. Let's get back into nitty-gritty. A lot of these last tips are the more just tactical things. So we have people and communication. Find communities. Finding community is great for 2 reasons, 2 of my tricks. So one of those tricks is you don't have to waste tons of time staying up to date on things. If you're in groups of people that are constantly having their finger on the pulse of things, then they will update the group and let you know when there is something happening that you need to be aware of. So this could be a WhatsApp group or Facebook group or LinkedIn community or whatever it is, but the places that you can go and you know that there are people that are going to be surfacing those need to know things is great, because you know that now you don't have to be investing all of that time, but that simultaneously you have the peace of mind to know that you're going to be aware of the things that you need to be aware of. The second trick of finding communities is finding communities that are maybe not in your direct business niche, but are knowledgeable about the different things that you need to know about. So for example, I can find a project management community. And so if I'm having trouble figuring out something related to what project management tool I should use or how to optimize ClickUp, then I know that I can ask in that group, and I'm going to have access to a lot of people that are much more knowledgeable than me on that particular thing. So the right communities can both be a source of the information that you need to know and also a go-to to help you solve complex problems that are beyond what your expertise or your team's expertise is currently capable of solving. 19. I think this is 19. It's a long list, guys, but I hope you're still with me. Empower your team to self-manage. I'm the opposite of a micromanager. I do not want to be a micromanager, but at the same time, you need to have a way for your team to be able to communicate with you about what's going on, what they're working on, where they're succeeding, where they're failing. And I was introduced by a colleague to a concept of a type of meeting called the LION meeting, which stands for last week, issues, opportunities, and next week. And so your team members think about each of those questions, and then they lead a meeting with their direct superior every week. So there's this frequent touch point that you're having so that you understand what they're working on, where they're going. It's very empowering for the team to be thinking big picture about the business and what kinds of opportunities there might be, what they're working on. It's a great way to surface any issues that might be happening so you can have those conversations. And it's just been a really fantastic change that we made to our company a few years ago. That might also be another subject for a video. If you're interested, let me know. 20 then feeds into my next subsection. But before we get there, minimize communication platforms. So decide what communication platform do you want to primarily centralize yourself around, and then communicate that to everybody else. So for me, I treat email, and that's why I was saying it leads in. So email is, for me, my primary preferred mode of communication. And so if somebody wants to text me, unless they're a very close friend or colleague who I also do some work with, that's separate. But if it's anything that has a deadline, that has something that I need to take an action on, I ask that happen in email for a few reasons. One being that I don't want work things coming into my phone and in front of my face at all hours. But two is that it's very difficult for me to manage and remember things that are happening in texts or WhatsApp or Telegram. There's a million different communication platforms. So I've decided email is where I centralize things. If we're communicating about work, 95% of the time, it should be happening in email, or it starts off in text and then it moves into email, because that allows me to just have one centralized place. So I'm not having to check around all these different platforms all the time and constantly feeling like I'm needing to jump from one notification to the next. So let's round it out with email, which may not be exciting to you, but I think these might actually be my favorite tips and tricks from this whole video. So these are little tiny things that I've done that have just made my experience with email next level. So I use my inbox as my catch-all. And what I mean is, let's say that I see an article and it looks interesting. I'll just forward it to myself. If somebody needs something of me, I'll ask them to email me about it. And that way I sort of have it all coming in as a mailbox, if you will, where it all just piles up there and then I can figure out where I want to put it. So ClickUp, which is my project management tool, as I mentioned, it has an extension that I can easily turn an email into a task or attach an email to a task. So that way, if I have something come in and I need to take an action on it, I can just get that directly added into my project management tool. Conversely, if it's something I don't need to take action on, I can get rid of it whatever it may be. But having it all go there and then organize it from there is just helpful in the same way that having one central communication. In the last year, I also figured out an inbox organization method that works really, really well for me. And that is to have 4 separate sections. So I have my important read, my starred, and my unimportant. And I have kind of created those by categories, but the main and most important part is that the important and unread are the things that I have to attend to in the next few days. So everything else those are things that can wait. Those are things that don't have any urgency, or I just want to keep them in there for reference. But then that makes it very easy for me to stay on top of the things that matter without them getting lost and creating excess stress. Drip email follow-up. We use ActiveCampaign for our emails. I'm not necessarily partial to that, but having some way to be able to automate follow up with different kinds of interactions that you have is a huge time saver and just a great way of having peace of mind, knowing that those things are getting followed up on and that nobody is having to waste time manually following up on things. So that requires a whole strategy and approach in and of itself, but it's a great time saver. Snoozing emails that I need to follow up on. I just recently taught Erez, my husband/business partner, how to snooze emails. Not that it's complicated to know how to snooze them, but I just taught him how I use my snoozing method. And he's like, this is amazing. I love it. So the main ways that I snooze emails is, let's say that I send an email that I know I need an answer about by a certain time, or I want an answer about. And if I haven't gotten an answer, then I'll want to send a follow-up email. I'll just snooze it. So if I send an email and I'm like, I need an answer by Friday, I'll snooze it for Friday. And then I know if I haven't gotten an answer that it's going to be in my inbox, and then I'll know, okay, I need to make a phone call, or I need to send another email, or what have you. And it's also great for if there's something that I know that I need to handle in a few weeks, it's not urgent right now, I can just snooze it and then it's going to pop back up in my email. And then I know, oh yeah, I need to handle this now. So snoozing emails, great, simple, really fast, total game changer. But I think my very favorite trick of all, which if you have stuck through to this part of the video, bravo. I love emailing myself when I'm stressed or after hours. So if I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm thinking about something, I'll send myself an email. If I am going about my day and something pops in my mind and I can just feel like it's going to be lurking there, I'll send myself an email about it. And because I've used my email as that central clearinghouse, then I know that it will get managed when I need it to, but it just gets it out of my head. Now I don't have to worry about having a bunch of different to-do lists and post-it notes all over the place. It's one place, and then I'll figure out what to do with it. And sometimes it turns out I don't do anything with it, but it got it out of my mind and I was able to fall back asleep. So emailing myself, my favorite trick of all. I do it very frequently and it gives me peace of mind. It saves me time from worrying and allows me to focus on what I need to focus on. So what did I miss? What's your favorite? Drop it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you found this helpful. If you did, then be sure to stick around and watch the video that YouTube is recommending next, and I'll see you soon. Bye.